welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, and information or simply learning from them. And today we have Islam Elgarhi. He is the co-founder of Modern Stay Property Management and Modern Stay Consulting, and he is a professional. He is a professional fighter turned entrepreneur. So we got lots of things to learn from him. Welcome to the show, Islam.
Hi guys, how are you? How's everything? My name is Islam Elgarhi and I'm the co-founder of Modern Stay, as well as another few businesses that I run here in the States. Beyond his
Right.
and some nice ways to build systems.
Right, Islam. There's a bit of a freeze frame. I don't know why, but if you can hear my voice, are you there?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, you can hear me? Okay, okay, Islam. So we will be learning a lot about, from you about scaling businesses. We'll learn about scaling businesses beyond boundaries. So there's a lot of things to learn from you. But before that, let's learn a bit about your journey, your background, so that, people understand who they are listening to.
Hey, how are you guys? Can you hear me now? I think we lagged out for a second.
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. So where were we?
So I want to understand for the audiences about a bit about your background, your journey, so that people know a bit more about you from you yourself.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you. So I grew up in Bayonne, New Jersey, which is a small town right outside of Manhattan, New York. I went to Rutgers University and I was very involved my whole life in athletics. After college, I worked for Johnson & Johnson for about a year, and then I realized that I needed to start my own business. Long story short, I started a successful staffing agency that currently has over 100 currently active workers. From there, I got into the world of real estate. I ended up, renting out a small space that I had as a test. And from there, I was able to expand it to over 18 listings within the first year and a half. And now we're at over 30 listings. And I credited that really just to the use of AI as well as systems. Building good systems will allow you to scale businesses much, much quicker than anything else.
Right, Islam. So I want to understand which was the first business. Was it the Airbnb one, and then tell us a bit. Take us. You are into multiple businesses, multiple industries. So I want to understand that. And how did you create that? That those resources for building, from one business to another?
Of course, that's a great question. So I started the staffing agency, which is essentially basically, for instance, if a venue needs about 100 workers to work a wedding, some kitchen workers, some servers, bartenders, whatever, they would reach out to an agency like, hey, we need 100 people to work on this day. So I was just basically the bridge that connected people who needed work and large venues that needed workers. So from there, it didn't really take much resources except from your time and maybe some small startup costs, but you didn't really need an official office space. You didn't really need this. You just had to bridge that gap. And the most important part in a business like that, especially, is to have a good, clear system, because there's a lot of moving parts. You're dealing with a lot of different workers, a lot of different humans that are prone to everyday mistakes. You have to make sure they show up on time, make sure they're wearing the right uniform, some simple stuff. But it all draws back to the same idea of building a proper system and a very organizational unit. And from there, I was able to build up some resources. I bought my first house with my brother Omar. And from there, we started our Airbnb short-term rental business, and everything just started compounding on top of each other after buying our first property.
Right. So what was your secret when you were able to, scale up your Airbnb business? Because a lot of people find it difficult. Some people have their own issues, but you were able to utilize your intellect and your hard work. Tell us a bit about that. And can it be still replicated even today?
Of course. So I think the main idea is that if you look at the typical homeowner, they're typically an older person. They're not young. So maybe 50, 60, 40 years old, because it takes some time to buy a house. It's an expensive asset. You can't just go buy a car. It's not the same, right? So when you go buy a house, you're typically older. So and a typical Airbnb host is an older family, mom and dad. The dad will, maybe do some of the construction maintenance, and the mom will clean, right? If you think about it, it's not scalable, right? You need a younger mind, or at least you got to get aligned with tech. So what we did is we got aligned with tech, and we utilized AI as well as integration and automation to help us scale, right? So now, for example, for instance, something as simple as checking instructions or messages, we're able to, automate a lot of the replies based on the messages we get. So we don't have to go there and spend so much time and our resources on replying to every single message, which we still do, but not to the extent of full thought, right? We already have pre-populated message templates that will, answer depending on the response. That's a simple example. It goes way beyond that, and but we use that same tactic of limiting our. We can all agree that the most important resource we have is our time, right? So if we don't have enough time, we won't have enough, uh, valuable time to think. What can we do next? What can we improve? Right? I'm where I'm at now because of my ability to think and my ability to sit there and try to see how I can improve. I'm not where I'm at because I answered 1,000 messages, or I'm not where I'm at because I looked at 1,000 properties, right? So we need to keep the mundane or repetitive tasks either automated or delegated, right? So you have to automate or delegate repetitive stuff that doesn't require thought, and you have to use our brain that God gave us to think and how we can improve our processes. So that's the main thing. So the typical mom and dad will really cherish that one property they have, perfect it, and do everything hands-on, and they don't want to let it go. So I would say have a little bit more trust in technology and hire the right people.
Right, Islam. So talking of technology, nowadays a lot of people are using AI and all, and automation and everything. But the type of businesses that you were in, even in staffing, even in Airbnb and rentals, most of these places, it's all about human connection. And when you are
Correct.
bringing a lot of automation and artificial intelligence into all that, how do you manage to still keep the human part alive? Because if you
Correct.
remove it, then people will not be comfortable.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to deal with just, machines.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing question, and you bring up a very good point. And just like you said, people want to have a human touch to things, right? So there's a sliding scale. You can't automate and AI everything, right? So there's a sliding scale, right? You have to have a good balance between the both. For example, sometimes we have on our bigger bookings, we'll have handwritten letters with a gift basket, something as simple as that for bookings over $5,000 or something. So it shows that there's a human that actually wrote out this message. And again, that's probably automated too. We have a company that writes the messages for us, but it's still handwritten. So it seems like there's a human touch to it, right? We're also available by phone 24/7. We have a call team, onshore and offshore. There's a lot of other little aspects as well to it. We have a team that's on the ground, like a city manager that will, if there's any issues arise, they're not going to talk to a computer, right? If there's a problem, somebody will show up and fix it. But for the most part, if you're anything that can be done on a computer, we try to automate it. So we're not going to automate human interaction. Like if somebody has to go fix something, I'm not going to go, hey, ChatGPT, how do we fix this? And tell that to the guest and have them do it. But anything that can be done online, for example, like messaging, revenue management, like changing the pricing on days according to events and according to holidays, maybe blocking off certain dates, stuff, anything that can be done from a computer, we automate, right? Anything that's done in person, we try to keep that interaction genuine, humane, and from an actual person. I hope that answered your question.
Right. Yes. And then what made you go into this consulting thing and, looking at
Yeah.
this? What is it that you wanted to take to the international market?
Of course. So we actually got into it by accident. So we're renting out our own properties, and long-term rent, it's profitable, right? It's been around for a while. Everyone buys real estate. They rent their properties long-term. However, short-term rent really takes you to the next level, and the level is unimaginable. For example, I think one of my properties has 3 units in it. One unit was covering the mortgage and more for the entire property. So when word gets around, hey, like this is possible during short-term rent, you just need to have a good system, right? You need to be able to be on top of things, and people don't really want to learn everything from the bottom. It took us time to figure out what worked. We messed up a lot. Now we learn from our mistakes, and we try to perfect the system. And so when people heard, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do? I have a tenant. His lease is coming up in a second. His lease is ending in a month or two. Can you take a look? Is this doable for me? And we were a little bit redundant at first, but we took our first clients. One of our friends, he was happy. He was out of the moon. I think he was making like $2,000 a month. He went from making 2,000 to making 6 to 7 after we took our percentages. So this was how we got into the management space. Now, once we got into managing all these properties, we had so many people that wanted to come with us and tell, hey, manage our properties. We didn't have the resources, and we didn't want to take off too much. We didn't want to bite off too much than we can chew. So we were like, okay, listen, we'll tell you how to do everything, but we kind of don't want to get involved right now because we have too much in the pipeline. So we got into consulting because people would just come and ask us, and we'd if I didn't put a price tag on my hourly rate, I wouldn't have time to do anything. People would just show up into our office or call me, hey, I need help with so-and-so. I need help with so-and-so. And for the first year, I'd help everybody because that's just how we are. But I put a price tag on it, not because I wanted to profit off of it, but probably just to calm down to take away a little bit of the volume of the calls that we were getting. So that way we can focus on our own properties as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So in this whole thing, you talked about short-term rental and long-term.
Yes.
So what are short-term rentals and long-term rentals? I want to understand how things work at that in your part of the world.
Yeah. So long-term rentals is traditional rent, right? So you buy a property and you say you rent it out for 2-year lease, 3-year lease, the typical stuff that you can see. Short-term rental, also short for STRs, or anything has to do with any under a month, right? So maybe 2 weeks, 1 day, 3 days, even by the hour, right? So that works on markets at Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com, Expedia, Marriott's by Home Villa, direct booking platforms, booking engines, Google Vacations, right? There's so many different things that you can do. And speaking about short-term rentals, there's even another category called MTR, which is midterm rentals, right? Renting out furnished properties to travel nurses, furnished properties to travel doctors, furnished properties for construction teams that they got a gig in New York and they have to send all of their workers there to build something. They need a place for them to stay. It's not feasible to put them all in a hotel. Or insurance agencies, someone's house burnt down. They have to stay somewhere for 3 months until they fix their house or until they find another house. So that all is a market that is untapped. The potential is super high. It's great, especially in urban areas and vacation unique home areas. Even boils down to we've had plenty of times people book our properties for hours, not days. Hey, I want to have a wedding in this backyard. How much will you charge me for 3 hours or 4 hours? Or I want to shoot a video. I like this living room. It looks really cool. Can we shoot here for today? So the opportunities are endless. When you're in long term, obviously there's more stability there, but you're limited to it. And also these properties, if I ever wanted to go on vacation with my family, I'll just block off the calendar. Hey, I get a free vacation here, or you know what I mean? It gives us endless opportunities.
Endless opportunities. You make it sound very easy, almost very easy with all these things, but I am sure these are not easy things to do. So help us understand about the challenges, the difficult parts in different things that you faced at different points in time.
Exactly. So probably the hardest thing is the moving parts. There's so many moving parts, right? So there's a cleaning team, there's a maintenance team, there's a reputation team, like a review man, there's a claims team, because the people will throw a party, right? What are you going to do, right? There's a listing team, right? An SEO team to make sure that our platforms are up and running. Make sure that Airbnb didn't take off any of our platforms. There's a messaging team. There's an on-call team. The options are endless. But now the challenge is for somebody that has one property wants to do, he has to do everything himself because he doesn't have the resources to hire all these people. He has one property. So that's when we come in and we're like, okay, listen, we already have this system in place. Give us a set amount of percentage depending on what they choose, and don't worry about anything. You won't even get a phone call, right? We have people who rent properties with us and they live in a different country. They live in Pakistan or they live in Australia, or they live in Egypt, and like, hey, I have 2 properties in New Jersey, New York. I'm not using them anymore. Can you just make me money? That's all they say. At the end of every month, they get 1 phone call, 1 check. Hey, this is how much money you made. This is the report of everything that we bought and everything that we, all the income that you got. And let me know if you have any questions. Half of the time, don't even say a word. They're very happy. They're out of the moon, and they tell their friends. And that's how we usually get more business. But at this time moment, we have so much that we are just trying to perfect the ones that we have. Also, another challenge is, as you know, as these companies like, Airbnb and maybe like Toro and all these like customer guest oriented businesses, the guest is key, right? He is king. If the guest has a bad experience, the platforms will never side with the hosts. So we need to really manage our guests, right? So 1 bad review, you're done, right? You're done. So it's all about reviews and photos, and we do a really, really good job at managing those reviews. And we use AI too. I built a bot an agent that helps us manage the reviews, gives us the best case scenario for review removal. It studies and reads the Airbnb policies on a daily basis, and we're machine learning it to try to really learn and figure out what's the best case scenario for each review.
Right. In terms of, people who want to get into these businesses, what would you want to share with them? What expectations should they have? It all looks like, that these things you get into, they will just start making you money. If you have some property, it will start making you money. Is life that easy? What would you like to tell a new entrepreneur getting into this side, or even for people who have got their property, but they want to give it out to someone? How should they evaluate all these things? You make it sound easy, but for everyone, it's not profit at the end of the month.
No, you're absolutely right. That's an amazing question. So like you said, it's not easy, but at the same time, it's easy when you see the potential, right? Because when you're truly interested and you see the potential, the upside, then you'll make sure that you make it easy, right? So when I did it, luckily I was in a good market. So in my market, you can post something up on Airbnb, you'll make money out of the moon, right? Without doing anything, but it's not sustainable, right? Because people will start leaving bad reviews. You'll get eaten up by the market, and it's not sustainable. But it's easy to start off making money, right? So if you're in the right market, it doesn't take much to start making money that you're happy with, right? But what is the hard part is keeping that sustainable and keeping it from not getting eaten alive by the rest of the market, and staying up to date with the latest amenities and latest factors and stuff like that, right? So now you have 2 challenges: 1, being in the right place, and 2, staying in the right place. So once you're in that place and you're okay, hey, this is my market. This is a good market. We did our analysis and it's proven, track record. This is it. We list it. Okay, now you might get lucky a few times. People come in, book with you, don't say nothing. But now you have to really put that guest up on a pedestal. You have to make sure their experience was amazing. You're not selling a hotel room. You're not selling a hostel. You're selling them an experience, right? So if you have an Xbox in your property, you better make sure that Xbox works, right? If you have a grill, you make sure that it has propane and they have all the amenities for it. Like, you can't have a PS5 but no controllers, right? But you'll hear about it, right? You do one good thing, they'll tell like a few of their friends, right? You do one bad thing, the whole world finds out about it. So you really need to make sure that you're up to date and you're on top of your properties.
Absolutely. What about the competitors? Because others are also looking at customers. They are also looking at customer experience. They are also perhaps working as hard as you, providing perhaps not so good or maybe even better. How do you compete with your competitors? What areas?
Of course. So we have 2 sets of competitors, right? We have our direct short-term rental competitors that are, have homes right next to us, whatever. And then the second set of competitors are hotels, right? So those are the more dangerous competitors. I don't care about the other hosts. I do, but not to the extent that I care about hotels, right? So hotels are now driving a big boycott against, Airbnb. They're driving huge regulations. They're lobbying against, lobbying politicians to set up regulations and laws that prohibit Airbnb use or limit us to kind of drive us away. For instance, New York in Manhattan, recently they have an Airbnb regulation that doesn't allow you to rent anything on Airbnb as long as it's under 1 month. So under 1 month, you cannot be on Airbnb. So you have to book at least 1 month. So what happened to everyone in New York that had a whole building full of all condos and stuff they're renting out, making all this money? What happened to them, right? So that's really, those are really the biggest threat. So at the same time, though, that was a big reason to my success. I forgot to mention, I'm on the border of New York. I'm maybe like 15 minutes away. So now what happens? All the people that were going to New York, where are they going now? They're coming to Jersey, right? So there's a sliding scale of regulation. I don't mind regulation because the more regulated it is, the harder it is to enter, the harder it is to sustain. And people like me who are on top of everything will succeed, and it will drive out the lower level competition, or people who are just not in it too much, right? But at the same time, if that regulation exceeds the sliding scale, then we're all done, right? So that's the threat. And to combat that, we have a direct booking campaign where we're really trying to like drive our brand. We don't want to go through Airbnb. We don't want to go through VRBO. We want to go through Modern Stay. You want to stay somewhere, this is Modern Stay, book directly. There's no fees, no nothing. And that way, we're not involved with these other platforms. So our main competitor is hotels, politicians trying to lobby against everything and stuff like that. And also a second set of competitors that I'm more or less worried about is the other Airbnb hosts. At this time, I think even other hosts will agree with us that we've come together plenty of times to go to maybe lawyer up against our cities for regulation or come up with ideas, because the market is big enough for all of us currently, right? Because you either get a hotel room or you get a house with a kitchen, parking spots, amenities for cheaper, right? So it's a no-brainer. And if you look at people like the Marriott, they've took a different approach. So they're not lobbying. Now, if you look at Marriott, they have a different section. You go to Marriott.com, you have Marriott Hotels, and then you have Villas and Homes by Marriott. So they partnered up now with the Airbnb hosts to get homes and villas that match their style. So instead of combating us, they took a different approach. So I just hope other hotel brands and stuff follow them, and that way we can all succeed.
Absolutely, we can all succeed. So are you planning to go outside the US, or is it only consulting for the outside world? Beyond that, are you going to manage properties outside?
Very good question. So we actually have 2 other countries that we're in right now. So majority of our stuff is in Jersey, New York, Bayonne, and Jersey City area. And I have 1 listing in Mecca in Saudi Arabia. And I'm currently, as we speak, in Egypt. I'm trying to build a boutique hotel here. So there's pyramids, there's a lot of stuff here that are tourist area, and I'm actually from Egypt. Right. And the good part about the market here, and I'm sure a lot of markets that are similar to Egypt, is that the currency isn't the best, right? So you're investing in a foreign currency that's getting weakened by the day, but your income is in USD, right? Because you're on apps like Airbnb, VRBO, you can choose what currency you want to receive. So the risk here, there's a lot more room for error, right? You can make some mistakes here and there. You're not gonna die and go bankrupt. As opposed to I'm trying to build a hotel in New York City. My margins are very low, right? So right now, that's my current goal and plan, is to try to build some sort of boutique hotel here. I have a couple of listings that are in the works, but I'm still working on the hotel.
India is also a big market. Have you ever thought about this?
I've thought about it, but the thing is, I have so much going on. So I realized in my head that I need to focus and finish one thing, and then before I go to the other thing. Because I personally, I start too many things, right? And I think I can take on the world until I'm like, oh man, I forgot about this, I forgot about that. So, and I tell someone all the time that there's no bad market, right? There's a price tag on everything, right? So even if the market's not that good, if you get it for the right price, it's good, right? So, and I'm sure India is a great market. There's so much stuff. There's so many people. Where there's people, there's a market.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's much to learn about entrepreneurship, about all the businesses that you are doing. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you, learn more from you, about you, tie up with you, and get all the things that is possible. So what's the best way for them to connect with you, Islam?
They can reach out to me directly on email at islam@modernstayandj.com or elgarhi.islam@gmail. You can also reach out to me on any of my Instagram links, my TikTok pages, anything. If you can find me you can type my name up on Google, find me, message me on any platform. I typically answer everybody. And if you ever need anything, even if it's just general advice, you can always reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to help.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.